Hello everyone, this is Dr. Lauren Gresham, and obviously everyone is freaking out about the coronavirus, and there's a lot of voices, so I've been hesitant to include my own voice into the whole stream of the conversation. But I realize that a lot of people are not doing a lot of proactive things as far as fun things that we can do to protect ourselves. So today I wanted to walk you through a recipe that, as a naturopathic physician who went to school for 8 years to study natural medicine and holistic healing, what do I do for my family in order to boost my immune system? And this is regardless whether it's the coronavirus or the seasonal flu or any other cold, allergies. There's a lot of things that I do as a naturopathic physician to keep my family safe. Also, I am 20 weeks pregnant with my first child, and so a lot of that stirs up different ideas for me as far as what's safe. I tend to be really conservative in my recommendations for myself, so these are all things that I feel safe eating while I'm pregnant. A caveat for this is I am the type of chef, I'm a very intuitive chef. I cook things that make sense to me on the fly. And that's not always how people cook. Other people really like to be regimented and follow recipes. I will be developing a recipe as we go, but it's going to be an experiment that we're going to do here together. Okay, so today what I'm making is a super powerful immune Jello. So the base of Jello is gelatin. Gelatin, this is an organic, non-GMO beef gelatin. Gelatin is made from the kind of cartilage and the hoofs of different hoofed animals. A lot of times people can get freaked out when they learn that, but the thing is we're using animals, at least we're using more parts of them. And they're just really great sources of some proteins. There's some unique amino acids, which is a building block of a protein in that, that might be a little bit not as common in the muscular parts of animals. They also tend to have a lot of vitamin C, because in order to synthesize the gelatin and the collagen, you need vitamin C. And in general, it's just a great base to carry much of the other things that we're going to add. When we cook with this, the general recommendation is about 2 tablespoons for every 4 cups of water. I tend to go a little bit higher because I want to make sure that my Jello actually has the right consistency. I've got 6 cups of water here. I've got 4 cups in this pot, which is what I'm going to cook up. And then I've got 1 cup over here because gelatin should... it needs to kind of waken up first in cold water before I add it over there. So I'm going to start back. So I'm going to add all my gelatin in here because all my gelatin needs to be exposed to cold water first. I've got 6 cups, so the minimum ratio is going to be 3 tablespoons that I need to add to this. But again, I'm going to probably add 4 tablespoons. And I'm going to sprinkle it nice in here into my water. This is cold water. That was 1. 2. 3. And 4. And then I'm going to stir this. Let this set up. So I just got that gelatin at a local health food store. It's very inexpensive. I think this bag was just a couple dollars. It was not expensive. And again, it's going to be a really great carrier for a bunch of other things. I don't have my baby yet, but I know that I could probably get little ones to eat this because it's actually going to taste pretty good. Or so we hope. I'm also going to add a lot of herbs to it, so we'll keep our fingers crossed. I've made medicinal jellos before. This particular recipe we're creating right here on the spot. You're here on the front lines. So if I didn't do this, it would potentially end up really chunky and non-uniform. So I'm just stirring the gelatin into the cold water, making sure it gets a chance to kind of start to hydrate before I start to cook it so it's not too chunky. Stir it pretty well. Okay, some of the other ingredients that I have here, I have some hibiscus flowers. Hibiscus flowers are very high in vitamin C. We historically think of hibiscus as being very good for naturally lowering blood pressure, which isn't necessarily the goal of what we're doing right now, but they're pretty and they're good in vitamin C. They taste good. They add kind of a sour flavor, which is nice. I've also got some rosehips. If you've noticed, at the end of winter or the end of the summer when all the flower petals fall off roses, there's those little buds left over. Those are rosehips. They are very, 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 very high in vitamin C and antioxidants. You don't want to eat them like the whole thing because they have hairs on the inside of them, similar to like an artichoke. But these ones have been removed of the little hairs and then dried. And again, this is going to be really high in vitamin C. These are pretty fibrous and hard, so I'm going to add things that would benefit from being boiled. I'm going to add those first. I'm going to let them boil some, and then I'm going to add my more delicate things. So I have some rosemary, lavender, and mint from my garden. I'm going to add that at the very end. These have very delicate kind of essential oil compounds that are very antimicrobial, but I don't want to add those early and then they'll just evaporate off. Usually when you cook with mints, these are all mint family plants, you really even ideally want to cover them so that you don't lose those essential oils, and then kind of tap your lid to get any ones that have condensed on the top of the lid to fall back. So this I'll add at the end. I've also got some oranges, some fresh berries, deeply pigmented berries. I also have a berry concentrate that is full of elderberry as well as pomegranate, blueberry, red grape, and red raspberry. This stuff is super, super, super high in lots of different plant nutrients and antioxidants. That's going to be great immune boosting stuff. I will add a little bit of honey towards the end, and then I'm going to add some tinctures at the very end as well, specifically black elderberry. Elderberry has a lot of research on being really great antiviral. Echinacea for boosting your immune reaction, your immune response, as well as astragalus, which is kind of good for helping the body deal with stress. And then finally, I am going to add some just generic immune mushroom product. Ideally, I would have gone out into the woods and picked some artist conch mushroom, which grows in my area. All mushrooms have big carbohydrate compounds that are immune supportive. So the more you can add mushrooms to your diet, continue to eat them throughout your lifespan, the better, particularly time when there's scary pandemics. So, okay, so I've got my gelatin. It's all nice and gooey now. And I'm going to add it to my pot of water. Okay. I am going to cook the mushrooms. The mushrooms have really thick, kind of wood-like structures. So actually cooking mushrooms is really great. It helps get some of those compounds more accessible because we don't really easily digest things that are very woody, cellulose. So I'm going to go ahead and add 3 heaping tablespoons of the mushrooms. I would love to add even more, but I don't want to blow out the flavor because, you know, that's a little bit more of like a savory flavor, and we're making a Jello. So I'm going to take one of my little tea bags here, and I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of my rose hips into this tea bag. Now I'm going to need to skewer this with like a little chopstick so that I can float it in the water without it just falling into the water and without it burning me. Okay, so I'll have one here. And then again, here in a second, I'll go ahead and bag up some hibiscus and some mints, but we'll wait on that for a second. I'm going to add my berries to this mixture because I want this to get nice and soft and homogeneous through the mixture. And because these are so delicious and amazing, we're going to go ahead and do, I think, 2 full cups of these berries. Okay, into a pot. I'm not going to add my honey yet, and I'm not going to add my berry concentrate yet because I don't want to overcook it. There's kind of no necessary reason to do that. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and take this over to the stove and get this going. Again, I'm going to skewer this with a chopstick and float it, and then I'm going to let this boil to get nice and hot. Okay, one moment. Okay, hello everyone, we are back. I finished cooking my mixture. I cooked it for just a couple minutes till it was boiling. Then I took my oranges, I added my oranges to a blender, it could be any blender, and I added a little bit of the liquid in here in order to help blend them. So it's 3 oranges. Also, verbal typo in my video, I said there was 4 cups of water in here and 1 in here. In fact, there was 6 cups of water, 5 in here and 1 in there. So, I'm going to go ahead and blend these bad boys up. With the little plunger. add this to my mixture. My Jello mixture smells kind of like orange Julius. Smells pretty great. Again, I'm going to add my mints now. This is nice and hot, so it will infuse it. But I don't want them to get too overheated. They don't need to be really hot. So I'm going to put some more of this in my little tea bags. This is my lavender, my rosemary, and my mint from my garden. And I'm just going to float it in there and let it infuse. Again, ideally I would actually have this covered, but for the purposes of this, I'm going to show you I'm not going to let it infuse very long. I'm going to skewer it so that it doesn't fall in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my hibiscus and do the same thing. I just filled up the tea bag. I just used my fingers to estimate. It was probably 3 tablespoons of the mint mixture. And I'm going to do with the hibiscus, I'm going to do 2 tablespoons. It's also, as you can see in my intuitive cooking process, I'm using things in my kitchen that I know are good for my immune system and that have antimicrobial properties. Please don't be intimidated if you don't have all these ingredients. It's okay if you don't have all these ingredients. That doesn't mean that you can't make something with what you do have in your kitchen. So I'm going to skewer the hibiscus, and then I'm just going to kind of infuse them, shake them around a little. Okay, so then I've got my other herbs that I want to add. So again, I have my berry concentrate. This stuff is also super delicious, which is another one of the great benefits of adding this. Okay, I'm going to let those infuse. Meanwhile, I'm going to get my berries. Oh, also, I added another cup of frozen berries, because once I had it on the stove, I realized I didn't actually think it was going to be enough to just have the 2 cups of berries. I'll have this all typed out. I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of these berries. Now 3 tablespoons. This stuff's really concentrated. I just love it, so I feel like more, but actually it's really concentrated. So 3 tablespoons of my berry concentrate. This is by a famous naturopath called William Mitchell, named William Mitchell. Okay, for the echinacea, this is a children's safe echinacea. I'm going to go ahead and add 2 tablespoons to my mixture. Okay, astragalus, we'll go ahead and do 2 tablespoons as well. Periodically shake around my mints and my hibiscus that's infusing. Make sure those are getting through the liquid. It's still steaming, so that's good. Black elderberry syrup. It's gotta be shaken. I'm gonna do 3 tablespoons of this. This is very much considered antiviral. There are some studies with it on different types of coronavirus. Not this strain, so that's really great, and it's a really great plant for the kiddos and pregnant people, so that's great. And then finally, I'm going to add some honey. Honey has some immune properties. It's ideal to not overcook honey, which is why I'm adding it here at the end. So once I'm all done mixing all these ingredients in here, we'll go ahead and stir it and pour it into a pan. That pan will go into my fridge covered, and it should set up in a couple hours and be ready to eat. Should be quite delicious. That's partially why I'm adding the honey, because I want to make sure it's got the immune properties as well as adding some deliciousness, because it was tasting a little mushroomy, not too strong, but you know, we want those mushrooms, but we also want to mask some of those herbs. So currently I am at 3 tablespoons of honey. I'm also going to add a couple drops of stevia because it allows me to cut back on the sweeteners. Stevia is a plant that comes from South America that naturally has a sweet flavor. There's a variety of different types of it on the market. Some of them are heavily more processed. What I have here is a stevia tincture, which is that they've used the actual plant and they've infused it, so extracted its sweetness without processing it heavily. Stevia goes a long way. You really only need a couple drops. I'm going to add maybe 4 or 5 drops to the entire mixture. If you add too much, it's going to taste very gross. So don't do that to yourself and your family. So basically the whole point of this recipe is to give you some nutritive way to boost everyone's immune system in your household. Again, you can substitute a lot of these ingredients. They don't need to be everything that I've included. If you have some other things that you're curious about as far as ingredient substitutions that you want to have, please don't hesitate to reach out to Nutima Integrative Medicine. We're happy to help support you. We also have telemedicine visits that we're focusing on right now at the moment, where we can discuss these things with you electronically, and we can even do some supplement orders. So if you want some of these products shipped to your house, we can help you with that. So we're basically here to support you and your family's health. So I added about 7 tablespoons of honey. I'm going to add 4 drops of stevia. I'm going to stir this mixture. Stir it one last time, pour it in my pot, show you guys the really beautiful color, and then we'll get it getting chilled in the fridge, and we're going to eat it, and it's going to be delicious for my family for this coming weekend, and keeping us all healthy. Okay, so I got my mints and my hibiscus are all done infusing in there. And then you get to see how beautiful this color will end up being. It is beautiful, red, yumminess. Got these little berries. So then, go ahead and take this, and we'll put it in the fridge, cover it, and see, I've got a whole big tray here. It's going to be really delicious. All right, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at Nutima Integrative Medicine. Our website is nutimahealth.com, and we're here to support you and your family. Stay healthy out there, folks.